What's going on, traders? Welcome back to the channel. Ralphdatrader here, back with another video. In today's video, you guys, I just want to walk through the Nasdaq from this past week to check out some of the opportunities that were available to us during the New York session. And before we get into it, guys, like I always remind you guys, this is just my interpretation and my way of how I see the market. All right, this is just what resonated with me, and I'm here just showing you guys what has helped me, and hopefully that you guys gain some value from it. All right, so let's get right into it. Now, we all know that markets only do three things, no matter the market that we are trading. It can be crypto, it can be Forex, it can be futures, it can be options, it can be stock options. It doesn't matter the market. All markets only do three things. They will break out, pull back, and continue in a uptrend or a downtrend, or they will break out, fail, and reverse back inside of that range, or they will just stay inside of that range. Okay. These are the only three things that any market will do. And this is the key core to our trading. So let's just keep it that simple, guys. Now, when it comes to setups, there's only two types of setups. It's either a buy setup or a sell setup. Okay. Those are the only two types of setups. Now, as the trader, you can decide whether you just want to be a buyer or a seller. That is all up to the individual trader themselves. Now, for me, I trade reversals. So I'm looking for, both. I'm looking for both, either a buy setup or a sell setup. That is just what I'm doing. Like I said, it is entirely up to you as the individual trader to decide whether you want to just be a buyer or seller, or you can do both. Excuse me. Now, when it comes down to it, the setup, what setup are we hunting? What setup have you mastered? Now, you can master the trap and shift, V bottom, buy low setup, or the trap and shift, A top, sell high setup. Okay. Or you can look for the dump coil pump, which is the buy low setup, or you can either look for the pump coil dump, which is the sell high setup. Like I said, it's entirely up to the individual trader themselves. Okay. If you want to just be a seller and just sell the pump coil dump and use the other variation of that, which would be the A top sell high setup, trap and shift. Or if you just want to be a buyer, you can use the buy low setup, trap and shift model. All right, which would be the V bottom. And you can combine that with using also the dump coil pump setup. Okay. It is all up to you as the individual trader. All right. Now let's get into the NASDAQ from Monday. All right. Now, like I always remind you guys, this is just what I'm doing. All right. Feel free to do what it is that you do, and feel free to use the daily signals that you prefer to use. Now, when it comes down to me, the levels that I'm using are the previous month's high and low levels, previous week's high and low levels, previous days high and low levels, and I'm also utilizing closing price level along with the major round numbers and preferably the double zero and 50 levels. Okay. The daily signals is the closing breakout and inside day daily signals. Those are the only two daily signals that I'm using. All right. Now let's get into this breakdown. All right. Now, as you guys can see that on Friday, all right, on Friday, I did not get a daily signal or of a closing breakout or inside day daily signal. All right. So what do? I wait to see if the market is going to trigger a previous day's high or low, if it's going to give me a signal on the day. And as you guys can see, during the agent session, we get a market that triggers a previous day's high, giving us a signal on the day. Now, heading into our New York session 12 candle window, you can see that this market was making higher highs and higher lows heading into the New York session. All right. You're making higher highs and higher lows. Now, what setup am I hunting? I'm hunting reversals. All right. So I either want to see a pump coil dump or a trap and shift sell a top sell high setup. That is what I'm looking for. All right. As you guys can see, right at the open 9:30, this market explodes for 100 points, putting in a higher high. All right. Then we can see that as we head into our 10 a.m. club, this market is failing right at our quarter level of 75. All right. So 25, 575, this market is hitting that level and closing back inside of 50. It's hitting it. So we had No confirmation for a sell high setup until 10:30. We finally get a candle that closes below the closes of all these candles, giving us an engulfing candle for a pump coil dump. All right. So all this is was a pump coil dump, a market that has broken out and pulled back. All right. It pulled back into our London higher low. All right. Grabbing up that money from that London session. All right. But I'm not worrying about it. I'm just worrying about, did my setup present? Did I get a pump coil dump or a sell high A top setup? And we got a pump oil dump for 50 to 100 points, and that's good for me. Now, as you guys can see that during the afternoon session, all right, afternoon session, it gave you a trap and shift. All right, these three candles right here is a morning star pattern. All right, this is a morning star pattern, trap and shift right off of a key level. All right, right off a key level for a breakout because we broke out of our previous day's high level, a breakout, pull back, in continuation. All right. Markets only do three things. Now, as we head into Tuesday, now Tuesday was Veteran Day in the US, so it was a bank holiday. You can choose to trade on Tuesday if you felt like it. All right, but Tuesday was a bank holiday in the US. Now, when it comes to Tuesday, I did get a closing breakout signal. I did get a daily signal of a market that closes in breakout. We also got a market that broke out on the day. Okay, we have a market that triggered a previous day's high, giving us a signal on the day. Now, heading into our 12 candle window, we can see that this market is making lower lows and lower highs heading into our session. All right, this market is making lower lows and lower highs heading into the session. Equity hour opens up, puts in a higher high. All right, but pay attention to where this candle closed at. 9:45. Okay, 9:45. All right, sellers tried to take over, but it closed as a bullish pin hammer. But once you understand market structure, guys, this market is making lower lows and lower highs. No reason to be trying to buy. 10 a.m. they engulf. All right. Stand in line with the existing trend. All right. For a 50 pip nail and bell on Veterans Day. Okay. If you choose to trade, this was a trap and shift A top. All right. This was a trap and shift A top for a low-hanging fruit continuation trade. This was just a stand in line with the existing trend because the sell high setup came during the Asian session. Now, as you start approaching into the New York session, this market is making lower lows and lower highs. All right. No, no signal to buy during the session window, during the timing window. It gave a trap and shift right off of a key level of 50. Trap and shift for a 50-point nail and bell. Okay, 50-point nail and bell on Veterans Day. All right. Now, once again, during the afternoon session, it gave you a dump foil pump because day two typically expands the range. So if the range is we're in a uptrend, day two typically expands the range. All right. You should be looking for um a buy setup. Okay. But during the timing window, we got a trap and shift, nail and bell sell setup. But outside of the timing window, we got the buy low setup where the market continued to expand the range. Right. But that was on Veterans Day. So like I said, it was a bank holiday in the US. Now heading into free cash Wednesday, no closing breakout or inside day signal for me. Okay, so what do? Wait to see if the market is going to give me a signal on the day. Once again, the market triggers a previous day's high level, giving a signal on the day. As we can see, this market broke out before heading into our New York session timing window, pulls back inside, okay, creating this lower low. And you can see that this market pumps up once again, oil sideways and dump. Now, if you're only using the 15-minute time frame, I prefer you to wait until this candle closes. Okay, that is me. I will wait till this candle closes. Now, if you're using smaller time frame, of course you were already in because you have the nice pump coil dump, all right, and probably around like 9:40. Okay, you could have taken an entry. But if you're only paying attention to the 15-minute time frame until you get your understanding down, you will wait. Allow this candle to close. This candle drop over 150 points. So typically when I see a candle drops like this, it's just me. When I see a candle like this, I want to see the market pull back. And as you guys can see, it closed below our CP level, which our CP level was acting as support. Now it has turned into resistance. All right. Me further, this is just me. I like to see a market come back and retest. Okay. I like to see a market come back to retest that level and then show me the continuation to confirm the continuation for me. Now, if you wanted to get in at 945, just know, all right, you had a 50-point nail and bell. If you decided to hold on to it, depending on where your stop loss was, that was entirely up to you. But what I'm telling you guys, what I do, all right, I would prefer to see this market retest, which it did. It retested at 10 a.m., closing as a gravestone doji. All right, closing as a gravestone doji, but I still need to wait until I get confirmation. Okay, I still need to wait till I get confirmation, whether it be an engulfing candle, a tweezer top candle. I need to see some sort of candle confirmation. All right, so as you guys can see, at 10:30, we get equal highs right off of our 50 level for a 100-point move. All right, back down. All right, that's just what I would be doing. All right, I'm not telling you guys what you should do. I'm just showing you guys what I would be doing. All right, now heading into our Thursday. On Thursday is the range reversal day. But as you guys can see, we did not get a closing breakout or inside day signal. Okay. Did not get a closing breakout or inside day signal. So what do? I just wait to see if I get a signal on the day. As we come into our New York session, all right, we can see that this market is making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, heading into our um New York session. Now, understand big picture, okay? Big picture, this market is still in breakout because no previous day's low level has been triggered as of into Thursday, okay? Now, but if you're just paying attention to what's going on the day, which typically is what I'm doing, I'm just really worrying about what's happening on the day. We get a signal on the day where this market breaks a previous day's low level. Now, also, I'm paying attention to the structure. The market is making lower lows and lower highs. Now, once again, 930 explodes. Okay. Excuse me. 930 explodes. All right. Over 150 points. Now, just like it did on Wednesday, like I told you guys at the closing price level, that I'm applying that same thing to the previous day's low level. This market exploded over 100 points, over 100 points. So I need to see this market pull back and retest this level. All right. And Thursday is a range reversal day. All right. Is a range reversal day. So we can see the market pulls back into our previous day's high level, 10 a.m. club, giving us a tweezer top off of a major level of support. Okay. Which is our double zero, confirming the trend back down. And as you guys can see, this was the entry for the move back to the downside. This is just how I'm seeing it because I'm just really worrying about what's happening on the day. Okay. I'm not looking at big picture. This is just what I'm doing. All right. Now, like I said, we got a signal on the day where a market broke out on the day, 930 exposed for over 150 points. Now, I like to see him. I prefer to see a market pull back. Okay. I prefer to see a market pull back, even though we triggered a previous day's low. I would be looking for the reversal, which we did get the reversal. All right, we got the range reversal. Okay, but if you're looking for a buy low setup, you would prefer to see this market pull back, okay, retest, and then confirm that it was going to go up. We did not get that. And overall, this market is making lower lows and lower highs. So we're in a downtrend. So why fight against the trend? Now, as we head into our free cash Friday, okay, we had a daily signal of a market that closed in breakout. All right, market that closed in breakout. We also get a market that triggers our previous day's low level, giving us a signal on the day as well. Now, as we head into our New York session 12 candle window, we can see that a market is dumping down. All right. We also dumped down into our previous week's low level, pulling sideways. 930 opens with a pin hammer. 945 is our trade back to the upside for the buy low reversal trade. Now, Compare that to what's happened on Thursday. Look at the difference. Okay. This market was already breaking down, heading into our New York session. All right. Already breaking down, heading into our New York session, but it offered us a dump coil pump reversal. Okay. This one on Thursday, which is the range reversal day, we're making lower lows and lower highs. It breaks out with over 100 point uh drop at the open. So wait until it pulls back. Okay. And plus, you want to wait on confirmation to show that it's going to continue in a long direction. All right. Friday, we get the reversal. Day three. Okay. Day three, we get a closing breakout signal. We get a signal on the day, and we get the dump oil pump for the reversal back to the upside. All right. So that's just my interpretation and my view of how I see this market trading in Nasdaq from this past week, guys. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If so, man, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and just let me know that you guys got some value out of it. Like always, man, work hard, stay disciplined, and be patient, and know that your time will come. Peace and love. Have a good one, and be the reason someone smiles today, you guys. Be the reason someone smiles today. Peace and love. Have a good one.